have this fractured memory, this hazy, imperfect, and ideal thing of a place that no longer exists and that perhaps never was. In my memory, I see it true, perfect and serene and embellished with every whimsical fancy that my mind saw fit to conjure at the time. I see the park that I grew up with, the lake, a tranquil bastion to anchor my errant anxieties. I see possibility and hope and infinite futures laid out amidst the greens and yellows and sweet fragrances and muggy sweltering of the myriad run-together summers of my youth. I see the gray and cold and indecipherable winters of a life withheld and withdrawn, potential unrealized, yet burning to be something more, something tangible, something at all to justify my nagging sense of inadequacy, my latent wish to be something more. I see in myself so many things that I am not, and that I yet aspire to be. The lives I live in passing, eulogized in half-realized daydreams and compartmentalized nightmares, manifesting themselves in my fears and wants and hopes and fantasies, run together in the fable that is my past. I have lived my darkest terrors innumerable times over in my mind, and yet what is to come fills me with a dread I cannot give word to, with a pause that seems interminable. This moment has trapped me for what seems a small eternity, and yet I still look past it and fear what is to come is somehow worse still. I dream of moving on, of being whole, of living a life that is not my own, that is nothing of the fear and the pain and the joy and the hope and the sadness and the relief and the pride I've known, of living as someone else, and yet I am never able to shake the notion that it is but a dream. What I am, who I am, is down to what I feel, what I've felt, the places I've been, the people I've met, the things I know to be familiar. I am nothing but a collection of memories and experiences and feelings and emotions and actions and reactions and... At this moment, I am forced to confront the amalgam of my being. It is a roiling, uncounted mass of things that together should make up the person that I claim to be today, and yet detached from context, deprived of that singular experience given life through my voice. It is nothing. It is my presence in this life, my capacity to influence the narrative of this series of seemingly inconsequential events that gives purpose to my exploits. It is the singular continuum of being contained within this moment that lends gravitas to the inherent entropy of time's unfolding. I always return to the park, to the lake, to the familiar, to the comfortable, to the past, to the known, because the future is unknown, because the unknown is frightening, because I want to feel safe, because I want to feel like I am in control. But I am never really in control. I am a passenger adrift on the tides of time, able to splash on occasion to make my will known, but unable to ultimately change the course of history. Uncertainty plagues me now, rooting my feet in place, removing the agency I value so dearly to give myself a sense of self. I am drowning in the passage of time. To surrender to the tide is unconscionable, but it is my only course. If I am to remain in this self I have constructed through my actions, to believe that everything will be okay is to believe in the absurd and the illogical. My lived experience tells me that things will get worse before they get better. But they will get better. If not through the natural flow of time, then through the methods I employ to cope with the pain. When I visit the park today, I am not inhabiting the same space as those around me. I am far removed to a place in my unique past, a place dissolved from history and relegated to the archives of my mind, there to shift and shape itself into ever alien forms, ever distant from its true self, and yet ever closer to my truth of the place. I am anchored here, this moment cemented as a part of my past, ever present and yet shifting always to become closer to itself in my mind. This, I am led to believe, is the true essence of myself. This is who I am. This is where I've come from, where I continue to go, where I continue to return. The places I've been, the things I've done, the memories I've created and nurtured and warped. This is me. My true self, naked and unashamed, unafraid, uninhibited. Thus do I continually seek to return to myself, again and again and again, reaching out through time to grasp at the fragments of me that are represented in the familiar. Thus do I recenter, renew, refresh, reconvene, reactivate, reanimate, reassess, revive, retreat, react, until I emerge replete with the person I was, I am, I will be, I never was, I always knew, I feel to be the truth of myself. Why do I visit the park of my youth? Is it because I love the place? Because it is familiar to me? Because it helps me recenter? Because it is beautiful and peaceful and safe? All of that is true, but in exploring the depths within, the fathoms without make themselves known. To visit the park of my youth is to visit myself in another time, another place, another me. It is to be reconnected, if not tangentially, then temporally, with my ego during its primordial foundation. It is the gestating embryo of my id, formulating my wants and fears and tastes, and every tear I will ever cry, every kind word I will ever say, every angry outburst I've yet to experience. I return not to reform myself, but to immerse myself within myself, that I might know the person that I am a little more, becoming a thing recursively incepted unto itself, ever to begin, to begin, to begin. I decide who I am. Only I can do that. Only I can be myself, and only I can decide who that self will be. Every day is another link in the chain binding me to my past and freeing me from the shackles of the self I once perceived myself as, allowing me to become ever evolved into someone new and yet wholly me. It is perhaps this feeling of freedom, this absolute control over my own identity, that causes me to smile, a tear rolling down the curve of my cheek, whenever I go to stare out over the lake anon.